Okay, so if you go online and you do search for AB Auto Rig 2 standard, or you could also email it to me and I can send you a link to the folder. This is going to be the auto rigger that we use to rig our ugly monster. Okay? So you'll notice once you go inside the zip folder that you download, there's a folder called Preferences and there's a folder called Scripts. Okay? Preferences just has a couple icons you can use for your taskbar. Scripts is the actual script that we're going to use to load into Maya. Okay, so let's take a look at how we load a script into Maya, and in particular this AB Autorigger one. So right click on Documents and just open that in a new window. And inside of here you'll notice that there's a Maya folder. So go ahead and expand that Maya folder. I have a couple of versions all the way up to 2015 on here. I personally own 2013, so I just sort of use that for my examples. But I have a couple student versions because I teach. So anyway, I'm going to go to my 2013 folder, Scripts, and I'm going to grab my AB Auto Rig from here, and I'm just going to drop it inside of there. What I want to do next is just click once on it, like a hard click, and you'll notice that it selects everything but the .mel. So you'll see AB Auto Rig, and I'm just going to hit Control C to copy that. So let's click on this taskbar here, and down in the mel window, I'm going to type the words rehash semicolon, and that's REHASH with a semicolon. I'm going to hit Enter. What that does is that cleans out the entire preferences and the script settings inside of there so that it can accept new scripts. It also finds or researches that scripts folder. Now I'm going to hit Control V, and you can pause the video again if you weren't able to copy that, but AB Auto Rig, and then I'm going to hit semicolon, and I'm going to actually highlight it, and I'm going to click my middle wheel here and drag it up here. I'm going to hit Mel. Now it gives you this generic icon. So if we go back to the other, our other scripts folder here, and we reopen that AB Auto Rig. Let's see, where is that AB? Here we go, AB Auto Rig. What I can do is I can backpedal to 2013 x64, go into Preferences, Icons, and you'll notice that that's empty. So I'm going to back up again, go to Preferences, Icons, and I'm just going to grab the AB Auto Rig skeleton and drop it in there. And let that copy. And as that's copying, I'm going to right click on the button that we just created and go to Edit. And that's going to open up this window here. So let's go to Shelves, and where it says icon name, actually let's click on it and make sure it works. And mine does work. So I'm actually going to click on this folder, select the AB Auto Rig icon, like skeleton icon, and hit Open. And there it is. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Save All Shelves and close that off. Alright, so let's take a look at rigging our model using our AB Auto Rigger. So I'm going to go ahead and click AB Auto Rig. And I'm going to give my ugly monster name. His name is Alex. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Create Skeleton. And it opens up my AB Auto Rig Skeleton Maker. And I want to make sure that all of these for this particular tutorial are set to the lowest settings. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Make Proxy Skeleton. Okay. And you'll notice it makes this really huge skeleton. We want to scale that down. So I'm going to select this little red guy here and just hit R to activate my scale tool and just bring him down. Something like this. Now this is not perfect by any means, and I'm actually going to change it from high quality to default quality mode. I'm going to turn this on so I can eventually see my joints. So let's hit 4. And let's turn off our ability to select the mesh, because this is going to impair us to grab these little red circles to move around. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And I'm going to hold spacebar down and right click and just go to my front view. Now be very diligent in this and make sure that it's set up properly, because this is going to affect your animations. So if you need to take a break, take a break. But otherwise, if you feel pretty good right now, really just spend a good amount of time tweaking this, because this takes care of a lot of the hard work. So I generally want to get this edge here in the center of his body. So I'm going to go ahead and select this guy and set that to the center of his knee. Okay, and for his foot, I'm going to go to my right view, or side view rather. In the newer versions of Maya, it's right. And this is the ankle. So I'm just going to move this up to the ankle here, wherever I'd like the foot to bend like an ankle. This is the pivot of the foot. And I'm actually going to bring this down just a little bit. And then this is the toe. So I'm going to move that to the front of his foot. And then this is the heel locator. And you'll notice that that kind of creates a heel. But what's really neat about this, or not a heel, but you'll see it'll create a little icon that we can move, is it updates on both sides. So as long as your model is fairly symmetrical, it'll build a symmetrical skeleton. I want this edge to be in the center of his body. So something like this. I want to go to the front view, select this guy here. Again, I'm trying to keep this edge, select this guy, in the center of his arm, the best that I can. So here's where I want his shoulder to rotate. I want his elbow to rotate here. And in this particular tutorial, we never created really a hand. So I'm going to make this nub his hand. All right? This should be in the center of his head because this is where his eyes would go. We don't have separate eyes at this point, so that's, and then this should be the top of his head. So let's go to the side view and make sure that our skeleton is located in the body, which it is. We notice that our head is way back here, and again, we want this in the center of his face. Let's take a look at it in perspective view. And it doesn't look half bad. So I'm going to go ahead and do File, Save Scene As. And in my UglyMonster, I'm going to name this UglyMonster _rig. Hit Save. Hit Continue. And back over here where we had made a proxy skeleton, I'm just going to hit Build Skeleton. And you can see here that it actually built a skeleton for us. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S again. Hit Continue. Now the joints are a little too big, so I'm going to go to Display. Modify. Window. There you go. Display, animation, joint size. And it could vary depending on the size of your model, but I sort of just bring those down. And when we go to animate this guy, really we're going to hide our joints anyway. So again, there we go. It looks pretty good to me. I don't have to redo the previous step. It looks fine. So at this point, we want to return back to this. This is where it sets up all of our controls. So I'm going to go to Spine, and I'm just going to hit Create Spine Rig, which is beautiful because it creates the entire spine rig. Head and neck. I'm going to hit Create Head and Neck. Legs and feet. But you want to first create heel locators, and then create leg rig. Now it's important that you learn how to rig on your own. This is just a 101 version of how to get this character into Unity. And then I'm going to create an arm rig. And I want to create a hand rig, but I don't want IK fingers. It's sort of not necessary, especially for a guy here who doesn't have hands that close. I'm going to go to hands, and I'm going to remove create IK fingers, and then just click create hand rig. You'll notice it'll create a setup for the arm. Okay, that looks pretty good. And right off the bat, he actually has IK arms. You'll see it moves like that. We don't want that. We want FK arms. Okay? So let's go ahead and close these out. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S to save it at this point. All right. Let's go to Window, Outliner. There's a lot of unnecessary stuff that's sort of floating around, and we want to delete that. So you can see here it says AV Auto Rig delete when done. So I'm going to just hit delete on that. And it'll get rid of any excess stuff. The next thing I want to do is just select this joint here, which is actually this, where it says Alex Blind Low. If you expand this and you also select this, and then you shift select your mesh, which we can't do right now because I have this off. And I go to Skin, Bind Skin. Under Smooth Bind, the options here, I'm going to go ahead and take this down to 0. I'm going to do Dual Quaternion. And I'll explain this stuff in other videos that are actually have to do with animation and rigging. And I'll hit apply. And let's just test our rig. So I'm going to close all this stuff, get it out of the way. Looks pretty good. Let's hit Control A to bring this up here. Let's move ball twist. Pretty cool. Ball raise. Alright, not so bad. We've got some tweaking issues, but we'll fix that. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a new folder. So I'm going to do File, Save Scene As, and I'm going to call it Anims. Now this is the folder that we're going to bring into Unity with all of our animations. So in the original one, I'm going to name this guy, instead of Ugly Monster, I'm just going to call him Alex now. He's now a character. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to hit continue. And I'm also going to go back and save over my ugly monster here. Okay, so I've got the Maya file. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start animating out the different poses that we're going to bring into Unity.